Hello, hello. I'm gonna wait a few minutes before I get started. Welcome to Streamline to the Unspoken Heart Discussion Hour. At any time that y'all want to call in, please be more than welcome to call in. Anytime you hear anything on here that you want to get out of off your chest. Let's please be nice to each other. We're very respectable. We're not going to have that here in the room. Um, like I said, we got a guest today, Mr. Mikey J, and he's a director, a movie producer. He's also an advocate and has won many awards. So he will be joining us today. He knows a lot about the politics and everything that's going on, as well as y'all seeing what's going on. And before I get started, I am going to read a piece first. Let me get my headphones on. Okay, that's better. Okay, before we bring him in, this is called My Last Rites. Revolving toward sweet loving mother assurance of return while looking into her tender eyes. Slowly stepping over threshold as my vision to stars peer like footprints across the skies. I placed hooded coverage over one's head while taking journey in direction of neighborhood store. The only intention possessed from mine was documented purchase on receipt, nothing more. All past indicative of is to reach my only safe haste place. In mirrors moments predicted time, devil's advocate mapped me appointed target as he attacked like fingers flipping priceless dime. Is it a crime for me to be walking hooded coverage with unconcealed Skittles and an Arizona tea while wanting to be in my mother's arm as recorded screens validated my heartfelt plea? Lowering shades of my sleep, faded into forming your love towards shedding painful tear. Trust when I say he isn't free from justice. For all, it's God's just judgment he needs to fear. Silencing my ground, merely stating my past, is merely just that we all make a forgivable mistake. Being human, teenager, like any other, pray over us. For my life, he had no right to maliciously take. That was in memory of Trayvon. And I wrote that back when he had passed away. And I wanted to read that and as well bring memory to what we're going to talk about today. Hello, Mr. Mikey J. How you doing today?
How you doing? All is
Can you
well for
hear
the
me?
most part. Yeah,
I hear, I hear you. We just read a piece on. Well, I just read a piece on my last rites. I don't know if you was able to hear it, but I wrote it back when Trayvon Martin had passed, and I felt the need to open up today's session with this here. So we decided last night, upon your request, that we would come on today and
yeah.
speak on what's going on in America. Um, just to bring out names, we gonna say as we already stated, Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Philando Castle, Alton Sterling, Oscar Gant, Sean Bell, Walter Scott, Charles Devonte Rotri, aka Chop, and the list goes on. What is your thoughts when you hear those names?
My honest thought is murder by cop.
Yeah,
Another black and brown person assassinated. Um, Law enforcement and their Gestapo Nazi tactics.
yes,
The
uh,
eradication of the black and brown man. The orchestrated systematically assassination of black and brown men and women.
yes. As you know, all of us already see what the world has come to now, being that this has regeared minds towards this here from the COVID-19, keeping it safe, which we should still continue to do. But now America is rising up for what is
Yes.
going on with Mr. George Floyd.
Yes.
Um, I must say, this looks to be another case in a increasing list of Black men losing lives over trivial matters. It began in 2012, if you remember, with the acquittal of the neighborhood watchman George Zimmerman in the shooting death of African American Trayvon Martin in February 2012. In 2014, the Hands Up, Don't Shoot became the rally cry for 18-year-old Black teenager Michael Brown. Eric Garner was killed in 2014 as well, which further waves of protest against the treatment of Black men at the hands of police. When you sit there and you hear these names and you hear what this has come to, what crosses your mind?
I'm sitting on my couch now, and I'm looking at CNN, MSNBC,
Yeah,
Los Angeles, Kentucky, Detroit, New York, Atlanta, Miami, Denver. Every city, every state within this country is tired of being tired. They're tired of they're just they're
they
tired of the evil.
yes, and they're
They're
standing
tired of the evil that
up
this
for God.
country has been producing. This country has been producing evil since the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock.
Mhm.
This country has nothing but blood on their hands, from the indigenous people to the slave trade.
Yeah,
And now fast forward to 2020. I wasn't born in the 60s, but now I am actually watching what my elders watched on their television sets in the 60s.
yeah,
And it's beyond outrage. This is hurt. This is
yeah,
frustration. These are high emotions that have been built up. Now you have a small group of people who are out for their own self-interest.
yes,
So I would say 99.9% of the other people are for the George Floyds, the Tamir Rices, the Anthony Rosarios, the Trayvon Martins, Eric Garners, Sandra Bland's. They are that's it's poking the bear. You
right,
poke the bear with each death.
right,
George Floyd, may he sleep in peace. George Floyd is is the breaking point.
yeah. And I'm gonna say,
It's
before we get to actually get into detail with, George Floyd, as I know you're an advocate, and myself as a domestic violence activist, I look at the background of things and to where it led up to this point. And I look at each person. And as I researched today, um, I found out, and I know a lot of people, all you got to do is look online, you can see it, you know. But for me to go back and see something behind these cops got me questioning the police department all the way around because there was red flags before this even happened. And we'll start with Derek Charvin, which is 44 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
According to the MPD Affairs Public Summary, 18 complaints. He had 18 complaints filed in the 19 years as a police officer. Two of them, two discipline actions, the cases were closed.
And 16 are currently still open.
Exactly. Okay,
16.
that's just
But
on Charvin. That's just on Charvin. But when I say the red flags, I'm going back on the history of this man. And it ain't just happened with George Floyd. I look in 2006, Mr. Wayne Reyes was shot and killed by police officers after they showed up at the scene of a stabbing. Chavez, Chavin was investigated. They don't say that he was disciplined. They don't say the outcome. They say he was investigated. In 2011, was placed on leave after shooting an indigenous man
Yep.
Repre- and then the representing attorney, which I'm questioning, is he going to be attorney this time? Because there's something about this attorney that I don't like, and I'm gonna tell you what it is. He represented attorney Tom Kelly. I usually don't say names on Facebook or online, but at this point, names need to be mentioned because we need to put thought into this. Tom Kelly was the same attorney that represented Officer Geronimo Yanes, who was tried and acquitted of manslaughter. This has me with fear right now when this guy here go to court, especially if Mr. Tom Kelly is his attorney again. I mean, it there was red flags. We'll go over to Dial or Child or however you want to say his name in a minute. But we're talking about Derek Charvin.
Yeah, Charvin. You
If
know,
if he had 18, my question is, and this is just me, if you had 18 complaints and you got two discipline, when does the department or the chief of police say, okay, it's time for you to come off these streets?
yeah. If that was NYPD, and I'm not a fan of them either, but he would have been gone a long time ago.
That's
You
what my
know.
question is. But now it makes me feel like the police department is also it should be reliable for this
Oh
because
yeah, yeah,
this guy has a pattern of doing this. And then the thing about it is like Maya Santana, she was the manager at a club that both George Floyd and Charvin worked at.
yes,
She was the manager. Okay, now she contradicts herself in my opinion. Okay, come on now, don't act like you're surprised when you sit here. First, you say that Charvin was a very sweet person, shallow, but was quick to pull out the pepper spray and spray everyone, and it didn't make sense and it wasn't necessary. But you were surprised when this happened. How is that a surprise when you see somebody that has a pattern of anger problems, a pattern of trying to not just hurt people, but cause destruction?
yeah.
I don't understand that. Now
You know,
we don't know if George and Chavez ever spoke. We don't know if they ever had words because Charvin worked outside as the security and Floyd worked inside as a bouncer.
I know for a fact. When I was on my touring, the club, my road manager and my personal security, they would they would meet with the club owners,
Yeah,
and they would meet with the club owners and have a meeting. And I can guarantee you that that cop and Mr. Floyd knew each other. They
mhm,
they clubs always have meetings before they open their doors.
true, true.
Guaranteed. So,
But
at the end
to
of the
me,
day,
I could be wrong, but my understanding is enter into the police force. Aren't they supposed to be doing a psychological evaluation of the cop?
they do. And man, look, at the end of the day, every cop has to go through a rigorous background check,
Right,
a background check, and a psychological test is involved in that.
right.
And I don't know what they're looking for in these psychological tests, but for some of these cops to be cops, it's beside me,
Right,
But I'm gonna say this right now: our country, and I will say our country, as much as people don't want to consider us to be citizens of this country, this is our country as well.
exactly.
And we are at a point in life where either you're gonna accept the nonsense and the foolery and die on your knees, or you're gonna stand up and fight the power and just be a voice and a vessel for the
Right.
weak and those who cannot be on them front lines, fighting fighting for our freedoms,
Yes.
our respect, our humanity,
Yes.
because white bigoted Americans, white racist bigoted Americans have this stigma against black Americans that is beyond 400 plus years. And for them to still be programmed,
Mm-hmm.
for them to still be programmed to dislike us, to hate us, to not respect us, to not love us, is far beyond is far beyond anyone's. It's just far beyond. And I
Yeah.
was saying to a friend of mine when I was on her live today, it's all in programming.
Yeah.
You cannot train a racist, bigoted person.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot train that. That
Mm-mm.
is a programming that starts from in the womb. When the mother's talking to the child in the belly, or the father got his mouthpiece to the child in the belly, and it's a systematically bad situation that has been evolving in the white communities, the white racist communities,
Mm-hmm.
to hate us, dislike us, disrespect us. But yet, like I said on my friend's live, they love our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Their children want to dress like us, want to rap like us, want to sing like us, talk like us, walk like us, cook like us.
Yeah.
But they don't want to congregate with us.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's a and that's a huge problem.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, so it's okay for you to want to uh be a culture vulture,
Yeah.
but I can't come to your house for dinner. Oh,
Wow.
you can't. So, a lot of people out here, it's been, we're going through three pandemics at the same time: racism, bigotry, and COVID-19. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a recipe for disaster. People are home, you know, um, those who are home, people are home, sheltering in place, social distancing, not being able to move about as they would like. So what happens? The frustration builds up. People have time to think. People are angry. People want to go back to work. People want to go have fun. The summertime's coming up. And now what happens at the wrong time when people are just trying to chill at home and not think about what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Another Trayvon Martin, another Eric Garner. And now people are like, F that.
Mm-hmm.
This stops today. And Miss Spicy Gray, I am not mad at any legitimate, let me stress that to your audience. I am not mad at any legitimate protester.
Yeah.
Yes, Martin Luther King protested a certain way, but
Mm-hmm.
so did Medgar Evers.
Mm-hmm.
So did Malcolm X.
Yes.
Harriet Tubman, Nat Turner, and all them other black revolutionists.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? They were militant. They bust their guns.
Yeah. Well, on here, I'm gonna give a little shout out to some of the comments here, and I'm gonna read one of them. Hello, Detra Russell. Thank you for tuning in. Rosalie Davis, Maxine Levy. Hello. We have a comment from Brian Alim. I hope I'm pronouncing the last name. He says Stockholm Syndrome, period. Why do Black people expect your historical and current oppressor and murderers to love and respect Black people, period? We are in a sick state of denial.
I said that earlier on, once again, my friend Omega Linton's live.
Mm-hmm.
He said, he basically paraphrased what I said. And what I said was this: why are Black Americans still looking to white America to save us?
Mm-hmm.
We have just as many powerful Black Americans in positions of power. We have just as many Black American multimillionaires
Mm-hmm.
and billionaires that we need to be redirecting that energy to.
Exactly.
Our energy should not be directed towards white America. Now, I have no problem with any white American that respects, believes in the struggle of the black man and woman and child. Because children are oppressed too in this society. Let's not forget the educational
Oh yeah.
dollars that are being taken out of our school systems when it comes to these kids.
Yes. Yes. That's
But
true. That's true.
to my black American brothers and sisters out there, kings and queens, we have to stop looking. We have to stop looking to the white man as they're our mother and father. They are their own separate entity. They got their own ish going on. We
Mm.
need to worry about our communities. You know, when the Black Panthers was doing what they was doing in California, that's what I'm talking about. But we always looking to white America for help.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take that same energy and direct it to the billionaires.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, they give all this money to Africa. And I don't got no problem with Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they need to start giving that money to the black communities that are disenfranchised and disadvantaged in America.
I agree. I agree. And before we move on to, I guess I don't know how I'm pronouncing his name, Tao Chow or Tao Tao, whatever. Like I said, I was looking at the pattern, and it has raised a lot of red flags to me, and it also raised a lot of concerns. You know, to find out that Tao Tao is actually the brother-in-law of George Floyd, and he also, when you go back and look, he also has a pattern. Because I know I could be mistaken, but to me, the way that I see that Charvin's pattern was going, if it wasn't George Floyd, it was going to be some black man. It was going to be some black man, even if it wasn't George Floyd, because of his pattern, because what the character that he possesses. But with Tao, badge number 7162, he had 6 complaints
Yes,
filed.
he did. Yes.
Case is still remaining open. One is still open. It, while he is out on the streets, while he was on the streets at that period of time. According to DailyMail.com, in 2014, Mr. Lamar Ferguson, an 8-month pregnant girlfriend, had just left the hospital, and while walking down alley, was accosted by Officer Tao Tao. Officer Tao Tao kicked and punched him, shattering his teeth after handcuffed. Now, mind you, this young man was handcuffed when he did this. Then taken to the hospital by the officers, which I have a question for you pertaining to that. He was then brought to jail in torn t-shirt and his underwear, despite pleas by the hospital staff to let the man get dressed. Al was sued in 2017 by Lamar Ferguson. They did not say whether it was settled or whether it was granted, but it said that they were suing him for $2.7 million for what he had done. Now, when I said I had something to run by you with the officers taking him to the hospital, someone has sent me an inbox yesterday a video and said that I needed to pay attention very closely. Now I know videos could be altered. I don't believe everything that's being said. Is I have to research. But from the video that I've seen was of that incident, and from what they was trying to stress for us to look at, that it was not EMT that put him on a gurney and into that vehicle.
It
That
was
if
two
you
sheriffs.
they had the bulletproof vest on,
Yep.
and they loaded him on the gurney. We're thinking it's EMT, and it was not EMT.
Mm-mm.
My thing is, I could be dumbfounded by this, but I never knew police officers to actually put you in a certain vehicle that look like an ambulance and take you to the hospital. I could be wrong, but that just don't sound right to me.
Yeah.
Especially after one of your fellow men then murdered one of the victim. Now going back to town, which um his sister is married to Charvin. I don't know how true it is. I haven't seen it yet, but I was informed that
He is. She
she
is.
filed she
She
filed for
is.
divorce. I don't know how true it is, but they stating that she filed for divorce.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
After 18 complaints.
And you cannot tell me she did not know about those complaints because he had to come home and talk about something. Now, when I say red flags, I'm looking at this, and this is why I say that the police department, if there is a lawsuit, the police department should be sued as well. And that's just my opinion. Because you have one with 18, and then you have another with 6 with still one open. Why were they on the street at that minute?
Yeah. I can
Why
even
would,
go. I'm
why
sorry.
would they not sit behind a desk? Or why was they not suspended
Yeah.
until further notice? Why were they able to interact with the public when they have this on them?
You
I
know,
I think that the chief of police needs to answer that because that doesn't make sense to me.
I can actually go further than that. I
Mhm.
would sue Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Okay, I heard that name.
I would hold her accountable because under her watch, as
Yes.
a prosecutor,
Hmm.
she uh, failed to prosecute Charvin on many, many, many occasions. She didn't want to prosecute. She never wanted to prosecute any cop.
Mm.
And then she goes on a this morning. She went on the press conference with the governor of Minnesota.
Right.
Lady, what are you even doing on a press conference? Because this man wouldn't have been a cop if you would have handled your business the first time.
Exactly. And then you also look at this situation probably wouldn't even happen either.
What?
Well,
I'm
so
supposed to.
would been alive if she had done her job.
Yeah, exactly. And she's trying to feed me crow and tell me it's rotisserie chicken. Get out of here with that. You know, the revolution is being televised.
Yeah.
The revolution is now officially social media rise.
Right.
It's being televised through social media, something crazy. And
Right.
even outside of Minnesota, the law enforcement officers are really violating these protesters' rights.
Yeah.
Now, you're supposed to just push the protesters back. These
Hmm.
cops are beating these protesters. Now, some protesters, it is a small group. They're burning they burnt the precinct down. They're burning police vehicles.
Hmm.
But some of these protesters are giving these cops waters, like I just seen just now. And that's in Atlanta, and so much more.
Yeah. Well, how is it the atmosphere over there in New York right now? Because I know here in San Antonio, I watched it televised that it's a peaceful protest going on. They are marching, they are standing their grounds. So in New York, how is it there?
New York is on fire right now.
Mm.
People, Brooklyn, and today Harlem.
Mm.
And I'm gonna say this: NYPD
Mm.
is a different type of racism. NYPD are Nazis, straight up and down.
Mm.
They are a Nazi force.
Yeah.
They are beating people, jumping out of cars, arresting people who don't even have nothing to do with a protest. They could be coming from a supermarket.
Mhm.
NYPD is violating 110% right now.
Yeah. Rosalie Davis says, well said right there. She's speaking on what you're talking about. Brian Alim says, to teach separation is more important than prayer. We need an extended quarantine from the real virus, white supremacy. Omega Linton say they are violating rights here as well. They chased my daughter and friends. They went to the store. Omega Linton,
Mm-hmm.
NYC is a problem.
Yeah.
Wow. My heart just dropped to that.
And
It just really.
and to the brother that said that we need this about the white supremacy situation, like I said earlier today, right? We don't need the Back to Africa movement, right? We don't need that.
Mm-mm.
That's the Marcus Garvey model.
Mm,
Back to Africa and all that.
right.
We need black and brown unity. We
Yeah.
need to unify as a people before we can move forward on anything else.
Yeah.
We are so divided as a people. We can't even agree on what to have for dinner.
Yeah.
So if we can't even agree on choosing a president. You
Mm.
have black Americans who are so pro-Trump
My
that
God.
they would rather endure 4 more years of his foolery than go vote for a legitimate candidate like Joe Biden, who is nowhere near a Donald Trump status.
Yeah. And see, that's one thing I said. I know we talked about it last night because, you know, I have my own opinions. I feel like, yes, it's always been there. But I feel like thanks to Trump, this is why it's more outward now. Because, that's why when I posted the other day about our African Americans, going for Trump, I made a comment last discussion. I really don't care about what the person said on my inbox because I just don't care. I'm gonna say what I gotta say. He has made America worse. That's my opinion. That's what I see. But what is sad is when I see our African Americans, you have seen before this man stepped in office, y'all seen and heard how he made comments and mockery about each race, whether it was black, Hispanic, whether it was Asian. That man, that's what I stuck on. I'm
Yeah,
not hearing about how y'all saying this employment rate and all this. I'm not hearing that. This is somebody you put in office to where now look what's going on. And my thing is that just like they had hundreds of those cops protecting this man's home from these protesters. My question is, y'all took an oath to protect and serve. When y'all seen that man doing that to that young man, when does that fellow officer stat turns into living up to oath to protect and serve? Why wasn't that 100 cops there to help him to save his life from this one cop that was on his neck that has a pattern of trying to destroy people? Every cop that stood by, this is my opinion, this is the way I feel. It shouldn't just be one cop locked up right now.
yeah,
Every cop that was right there that didn't do anything to help this young man should be locked up right now. They shouldn't be at home in the comfort with their families. They need to be in jail with this other man. Whether
yeah,
you watch, whether you had your hands in your pocket, whether you turned your head, you was a part of that incident. It was just like you killed him as well. They need to be locked up.
yeah.
And I'm not talking about an acquittal. I ain't talking about a pat on the hand. Y'all need to be served the harshest penalty to the max.
You know,
And that is my feeling on it.
and I have to agree because what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yes.
If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck,
Mhm.
it's a mother loving duck.
Yes.
And
If he get out, guess what? Nine
yeah,
times he's gonna do it again.
and examples have to be made. But
Yes.
just to go back and touch on our communities, right? If we want change, we have to start with the
And it's,
change in our communities. That's
yes.
the first thing we got to do because white America still looks at us like, oh, they're a joke. They're nothing but a bunch of twerking, bottle popping Negroes running around here doing um, foolish things. We
Yeah.
can't take them serious.
Yeah. And see, this
And that's sad because not every black American woman, not every black American man is out here committing foolery. That's
Exactly.
a small group who's doing that.
And you
But
know
for
what?
us,
We
for
could
us to be,
continue to say that, but at the same time, let me tell you what it's going to take. We seeing all over America how the blacks are swarming the streets. You understand?
Mhm.
We seeing them just like you can't see the streets because they're so together for George Floyd. Okay, but if you really truly make a difference, the same thing we're doing now, the same thing we need to do as a unity, Black Americans, and getting that in that room and vote to not have Trump back in the office.
Yeah,
We need to
and
do the same response.
and I can even go much deeper than that. You know, we have to deprogram ourselves from the programming that we have been used to for all these years, going back to Jim Crow, Willie Lynch. You
Hmm.
know, we have to really deprogram ourselves. We really
Yes,
do. You know, we're so programmed that we are a lesser citizen, that a lot of us still, because they don't even, they're ignorant, and they're not ignorant by, they're only ignorant by default. They're ignorant because of lack of education, or ignorant because of knowledge and wisdom. So by default, we have to each one teach one and reach out to all of those and uplift them, enlighten them, and better them, and do our damnness to feed them that knowledge and wisdom, and get them spiritually connected
yes.
and emotionally connected with God.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, you know, people may not think, they're like, why is God letting this happen? God is not allowing this to happen.
Right.
We are, and I don't mean us. I mean just the United States of America is allowing this to happen. The
Yeah.
powers that be is allowing this to happen.
Hmm.
Police should not be shooting down black men and women like dogs, and I'm gonna say children too, because Tamir Rice and Trayvon Martin were children to me.
Yes. Yes.
This is
And
the
that touches
programming.
really,
This,
really deep. That touches
yeah,
really.
this is the programming that law enforcement, white, you know, I'm not gonna say all. I'm gonna say just law enforcement itself. Law enforcement is trained to shoot people center mass.
Mm.
They're not trained to protect um the life of a supposedly be perpetrator. No, they're trained to shoot to kill. They're not
Hmm.
trained to shoot to maim. None of that. So what I
Hmm.
want to do with my brothers and my sisters is really get them to stop belittling one another, berating one
Exactly.
another,
Exactly.
disrespecting one another,
Destroying
disliking
one
one
another.
another.
Yes. Stick
You you
together.
you may like what your fellow brother may have to say or may have to offer, but you know what it is? There's
Mm.
too much self-hate in the black community.
It is. It is.
Too much self-hate.
Yes.
Too many crabs in the barrel. We don't have to be crabs in the barrel. Black wealth in America is in the trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
So once we unify and get our blackness together,
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, we will no longer be the minority
Yes.
in a monetary sense.
Mm-hmm.
We will be the majority, because technically we are the majority when it comes to dollars.
Yeah. Oh, true.
I'm just, Miss Spicy Gray, I am just so sick and tired of everybody saying, "Oh, but there's no opportunities." This is 2020.
Yep.
There's no way right now someone that is home cannot come up with an idea to make money. I don't care if you go to the Family Dollar and get a pack of straws for $1, and you go on the highway and you sell each straw for $1. That's a hustle.
Yeah.
You can come up with any type of hustle to get some money as long as it's legitimate and positive and be productive. There's no way that you're going to sit and tell me, oh, there's no opportunities. Well, guess what? The
Mm-hmm.
white man is finding opportunities. Asians is finding opportunities. Mexicans are finding opportunities
Mm-hmm.
every day. Selling
Yeah.
oranges, selling apples, selling waters.
Mm-hmm.
The day of the Geechee is over. No more excuses.
True.
No more excuses.
Yeah, and
This
that's
is
what
not the
they need to stop
60s.
doing is allowing excuses and start accepting and doing something about it. Now, I know they're in New York. I know here in Texas, we hear a lot about New York. I have a best friend that's from New York as well. And my thing is what it touches me here anytime I turn on the news and I see a young black boy that has been killed. There's one that a lot of people became well familiar with on the news, and that's the one I spoke in name at first was Charles Devonte Rotri Jr. They called him Chop. Now, with this young man, he was 18 years old. He had just became a father, and at 1 a.m. in the morning, the officer didn't even identify himself. And this young man was unarmed, and he was shot in the chest. Shot in the chest, unarmed. Now they reported to a call, a couple of minutes before then. But if you look at the video, the description that the lady had given suit nobody in that house. It suited. She said they did not have hair on their head. Each one of them had hair on their head because when he asked the guy on the front porch to remove his hat, he had hair. He's like, "Oh, I know you." But my thing is, an 18-year-old life is gone by the hands of a police officer. And he was just sitting on his couch at home with the family. This here, it hurts me because just to hear our young men being taken from us, especially like this. And this one lady comment and says, this happened over here. What does this have to do with Houston? What does this have to do with San Antonio? What does this have to do with Georgia? It has a lot to do with it because we all got to stand together. Once we can become a stronghold and stand our ground, chains will be broken. But we got to come together, not against each other.
Yeah. It's there is still a lot of our people who are mentally enslaved,
Yeah.
but they are also emotionally enslaved and spiritually enslaved.
Mhm.
You know, and once we break the chains of bondage, I'm pretty sure our people will definitely be uplifted. But some of them, in the defense of those who have the ignorance of wisdom and knowledge, you know, a lot of people in the black and brown communities, there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of mental illness, and when you don't have dollars to see where your next dollar, see where your next meal is going to come from, you know, your next breakfast or your lunch or your dinner is going to come from,
Yeah.
that's a lot to deal with. That
Exactly.
especially if you got children, So I am definitely one of those human beings who
Mhm.
sympathizes with those who cannot afford to eat, for those who have to go to public assistance, sign
Right.
up for the welfare system, and and take what this white man is giving them, which is
Yeah.
basically nothing. And I'm gonna say something too. White man is smart because they set up the child support system to make it was set up for failure.
Mhm.
It was set up for fathers to fail. It was never set up for anyone to win. Even a
Right.
child is not winning when it comes to that situation. You know,
No. Mm-mm.
I'm just I'm just heartbroken,
Yeah.
and I just wish our people will just do better
Yeah.
so they can be better, become better, and produce better.
Right. Well said. Well said. This has been a very heartfelt moment for everyone across America. And, there is a George Floyd Memorial Fund set up. And so far, they have raised almost $4 million. That there is a lot of love. It really is. For a man.
Spicy. I gotta show you something.
Okay.
So right now, CNN. Um, I'm gonna show you this. This is Chelsea, New York. right? Chelsea is like 23rd Street area down there.
Okay.
It's on fire.
Oh,
It's on fire. And now look at this. They lit Chelsea on fire.
wow.
Chelsea is on fire right now.
Wow.
Whoever lives in the area of Chelsea area, stay home. Because right
Well,
now,
Omega Linton said that's his neighborhood.
yeah, Omega's on. That's right. That's where Omega lives at.
Please be safe, Omega.
That's where
Please.
she lives at. And I just spoke to her daughters, and I just predicted a few hours ago. I predicted this scenario right here.
Oh God, I'm really like trying to fight back my tears because seeing where she says, I just told you they chased my daughter. This is sad. It's very, very hurtful, especially for the children to have to experience something like this.
I just said that to her to Omega. And her daughter and her daughter's best friend. I said, you guys are how old? They said 15 and 16. I said, y'all should be watching Scooby Doo or something, or a television show that you like on television. But here, y'all live in the 60s right now. These youth should be worried about picking a college, picking a career, picking a prom dress for high school. They
Yeah.
shouldn't have to worry about what's going on television right now. Are they
Thank
going to be the
you,
next Sandra
Omega.
Bland's?
Thank you,
Are,
Omega.
are, are they going to be the next Eric Garner, the
Yeah.
next Trayvon Martin? This is what these kids are worried about nowadays.
Well,
You
even
know?
as parents, we worrying about our children going out there.
Yeah.
And like my daughter, she tries to say, "Well, Mama, I'm grown. Mama, I'm good." No, I already buried two sons and a granddaughter, and it fears me to where I got to worry about when she go. I respect she's grown, I do, but as a mother and a father, we still gonna worry. And it's sad that we are placed in that position to where we don't feel like they're safe unless they're in our eyesight at home.
You
And
know, my son is 19. My son is 19 years old. He's 6'4". I am not playing when it comes to my son. I don't want to hear nothing about it was an accident, it was this, it was that.
yeah,
Someone is going to pay for that.
yeah,
God forbid. God
yeah.
forbid.
Brian Alim says we failed the youth because we didn't tell them the truth about their open enemy.
Say that again.
We failed the youth because we didn't tell them the truth about their open enemy.
I don't I would say that he's on point with that.
Mm,
And I would point that at the Department of Education
mm,
for taking the curriculum and not implementing that in the curriculum about what America really is.
yeah.
Who really discovered America? Nobody. Indigenous people were already here.
Yeah, they got them so confused because even like I had to show my daughter and my son, they couldn't believe it because they was brainwashed to think that that was the original Statue of Liberty.
No, it wasn't.
And I told them, no, it isn't. And when I showed them and I told them the history behind that, they was like, wow, mom. So they really trying to keep us back. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Brian is right. It's not that we didn't tell our youth,
Mm,
is that the educational system should have. Now, for those parents that didn't educate their children about Black life in America,
mhm,
because in Africa, in their schools, they teach their youth
mhm,
that we are lower class citizens in America and they shouldn't respect us.
Yeah. Maxine Levy said the same thing I told my daughter. She said, you cannot leave the responsibility of educating your children up to strangers.
Yeah.
And she's right. Because even us as parents, we are supposed to be in the position of educating our children, preparing our children, and not leaving out what they have to face in this world, which is the truth.
Yeah. And one thing about my son, I love my son is woke. My son is woke. My son's third eye is open.
Mm.
And once the third eye is open, you're focused and you will never be able to be bamboozled. And a lot of the youth have to take responsibility as well. A lot
Yes.
of our youth, because they are of age to know right from wrong, good from bad, light from darkness. They're old enough to educate themselves as well, to do research as well.
Right.
They definitely have to take some responsibility in their own upbringing as teenagers. I
Right.
had my son reading an encyclopedia, I believe, at the age of 4 or 5.
Mike. Okay, there
Hello?
you go.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry
you're
about
good.
that.
It's okay.
My son was reading an encyclopedia at the age of 4 or 5,
Yes.
and a dictionary, and a
Right.
Bible, and I love that the fact that as he even got older, he stuck with what me and his mom conditioned him and programmed him to be about.
Right. And see,
Self-knowledge,
yes.
wisdom, and the overstanding of life and the surroundings and the inner workings of the meaning of life. Because the
Yeah.
meaning of life is not just about existing, it's also about living. Because if you're existing, you're just taking up air. But if you're living, then you're contributing
Yeah.
to society, especially the Black society. If you're passing on and feeding that knowledge to the your fellow youth, your fellow man and woman and child,
Right. Right. Now, as we seen, I think it was yesterday, they was trying to storm the White House. What is your feelings on that?
They burned the White House down in 18, I forgot what year, but they wouldn't have stormed it if Barack Obama was. We wouldn't be having this conversation if it was Barack Obama in the office, because they would never had went to the White House if it was Barack Obama in that office.
Right.
We don't have leadership in America. We don't have a leader.
Mhm.
We are leaderless. We do not have a leader. We have a man in the White House who was a narcissistic, sociopathic, womanizer, womanizing rapist,
Mm.
sexual predator.
Mm.
That's who's in the White House. A con man who always go bankrupt.
Yes.
That's who our leadership is not coming from.
Right.
The United States is the laughing stock of the globe. Of the
Mhm.
globe, we've never been that. So my thoughts on everybody that went to the White House, and they're in front of the White House right now. Again, everybody that's in front of that White House, I salute them. I give them their roses, and I love them
Yeah.
because
Didn't they leave on
this,
an airplane or
this,
something?
because this is going to shake up his whole
Yeah.
candidacy, his
Mhm.
presidency.
Mhm.
People are not, they're not hearing it.
Yeah. Because I don't know, didn't they leave on the airplane already from the White House?
I don't know. I
Because I
don't know.
could have sworn I seen something like that. I could be wrong. But I mean, the statement that I know you brought up a statement um, about something that was seen on media that came out of Trump's mouth.
Oh, he said that, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's the same context. Basically, all looters should be shot. If you're looting, start then they're gonna start shooting. What leader says that? Bill Clinton wouldn't have said that. George Bush would have never said that.
Mm-mm.
George Bush Sr. would have never said that.
Mm-mm.
Barack Obama would have never said that.
No.
I don't know him personally,
Right.
but I know him as a leader
Mm-hmm.
by watching and observing and listening to him. We are in a bad space right now.
Yeah.
We're in a
It,
bad
it's
space,
sad
and we
right.
have no leadership
Mm,
coming from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
yeah.
So the leadership has to come from us. It has to come from Miss Spicy Gray, Miss Omega Linton, from Brian, from
Mm,
myself, and every other person who is qualified to lead. We all have the qualifications to lead. It's
yeah.
just up to us as if we want to accept the responsibility.
Exactly. And Brian also commented, Barack Obama is related to 6 U.S. presidents and the president of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis.
And you want to know something?
I
If
didn't
you
know
hold,
that.
yeah, he is. If if you hold Barack Obama's photo, right,
Yeah.
and Abraham Lincoln's photo side by side, I'm just saying
Mm.
they look just alike.
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing it in my mind now. Wow.
They look
Wow.
just alike.
Wow. That is something. That is something.
If
Yeah.
you look at Abraham Lincoln's portrait, he doesn't. And whether how, listen.
Omega said his neighborhood is on fire.
Oh no, it's a she. She's a female.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. She says my neighborhood is on fire.
Yeah,
The kids ain't safe. Oh my God. Oh my God.
yeah.
We all need
Told you.
to please pray. Please pray. It's getting worse. Oh wow. Sirens are blaring. Oh my God.
Chicago, Chicago police are beating protesters something crazy, and they're fighting back. You know, I gotta say this, man. I gotta say this. I don't advocate violence against any law enforcement officer that is undeserving of it.
Right.
But if you're one of them law enforcement officers who are going to blatantly try to who is blatantly beating on somebody,
Mhm.
you are no longer considered a law enforcement officer.
Yeah. And the sad thing about it is that, you know, at this point, these bad cops are really making the real good ones that do have a heart and that do stand by, serve, and protect.
Yeah.
Look,
Listen,
have a bad name, and that's really sad. To where a officer had to get on a post. I think I seen it yesterday, and he says, "I am not them. I am not them."
many police have been threatened. A couple of cops got fired for speaking out, and a couple of other cops got suspended or told to take their posts down. But this is what I want to say to all them cops that are speaking out now. Where were you when Amadou Diallo was shot 41 times? Where were you when police NYPD officer Justin Volpe put a plunger up the anal, up the rectum of Abner Lawima? Where were you when Trayvon Martin was murdered?
Exactly.
Eric Garner was choked. Where were y'all? Where were your voices then?
Yeah.
Y'all were silent. Now you want to speak out. I think you're a, a few decades late.
Yeah.
Good cops, you have great cops out there.
You do.
I got blood brothers and sisters who are police. I'm the black sheep in the family. You feel me?
Yeah.
And I got great cop friends. I just saw one today. I just saw a great cop friend who was a brother to me today.
And
I
I
went
have
to see him,
like this
and and
that are officers as well. And I mean, I check on them. Y'all how y'all doing? When I seen the protest this morning, they said it was good. So you know, they people need to know there are some good ones out there.
yeah,
It's just now the bad ones, especially what didn't happen now with Charvin and Tal, is outweighing that.
and the good cops, the great cops who are now speaking out, they should have spoke out decades ago. If you know you got a bad cop or bad cops in your precinct,
Right.
you don't ask them to transfer. Yo, all that blue wall of silence is BS. It's
Yeah.
BS. I don't care if you're a black cop, white cop, Latino cop, Asian cop, yellow, black, rainbow, blue, whatever you are. If you want to have a safe patrol,
Hmm.
because a lot of cops only want to do their 8 hours
And go
and get
home.
home safe.
Yes.
And I respect that.
Yeah.
But you got bad cops who make it hard for a good cop to do their job.
Yeah, because they set out for destruction, not to protect and serve, but to destroy. And it's sad to put it that way. And it's like that phrase does not exist anymore because
Yeah,
now people are not respecting the law enforcement because what didn't happen. And I say it now, as I said it then. It starts at the seed
yeah.
and it's the trump.
This guy, he is the biggest enabler.
Mhm.
He is the biggest enabler. These cops are emboldened. They feel emboldened and enabled
Right.
to jump out the window and do what they do.
Yeah.
Did you know that the Supreme Court signed passed a law, however they did it, that we cannot hold law enforcement accountable
Yeah.
for deaths on I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I got a bad feeling, man, and I want everybody to really understand where I'm coming from. I'm gonna sit up. My back and my neck is killing me. I'm sorry, Spicy.
That's okay. I got
Um,
my back pillow too, and I'm on this machine because I've been in pain. But I'm like, this needed to be discussed. We just got a message from Omega. Georgia is turning up too. My dad just called me. Brian says, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. The phrase was used prominently by Walter E. Heatley, Miami
yes,
former police chief, in 1967 as he pledged a no holds barred response to a Christmas season outbreak of violent crime in black neighborhoods that had left three people dead in attempted robberies. New York Times.
yep, he's 1,000% right.
Wow.
Now, what I was gonna say is that I forgot what I was gonna say. Wow, I forgot the last thing I said. Um, wow, I really forgot my train of thought.
Nikers. She said they beating Nikers. Nykers. It's a war.
They're beating New Yorkers. New Yorkers.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. We're from Texas now. You got to speak a little bit more English for us. Oh wow, my heart goes out to y'all right now. It really does. I've always been a type of person. I don't like drama. I don't like destruction or anger, and I have found myself avoiding watching news because I felt like it was very depressing. But now it's like it's all over social media, and this outbreak is not going to get no better, and it's very hurtful.
Yeah,
I know I'm a very emotional person, because I love every race, no matter who they are, because we all human, and I don't want to see anybody hurt,
yeah.
and I am not okay. Omega, are you trying to get out of there? She said she's not okay.
I'm gonna hit her up when soon we finish.
Yes, yes. I'm worried about her and the children. That does, yeah. It's really getting bad. And my heart really goes out. Before we end this here, because I do want you to be. Oh, she said emotionally. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. That really had me. Oh God, I thought she was physically fit to be harmed, but emotionally is not any better. But I am going to give you a moment to speak to everyone across America, um, so that you can go ahead and voice what you need to voice and give your opinion on everything before we actually end it and before we sign off. I will bring you back. And I know I read it at the beginning of the show, but I'm going to read it again. The one piece that I wrote called "My Last Rites." So I'm gonna give you this minute now to speak to everyone.
Well, hello everyone. For those who are not familiar, um, or I'm going to acquaint you and reacquaint you as to who I am, and it's best that I do that so you can understand what I'm going to say afterwards. My name is Mikey J. As a rapper, that's the moniker that I go by. As a film director and film producer and music producer, I go by Michael Stephen Paul. I am a two-time Grammy nominated recording artist, music producer. I have 13 music awards and 43 honor awards for the philanthropy that I've been doing for the past 18 years now across the country. And what I do as a civil rights advocate and activist and human rights activist is I go city to city, state to state, whether I'm feeding the hungry, helping and assisting with the housing of those who are homeless, or unifying the Bloods and the Crips and many other gangs across this country. Um, that's the most important thing to me, other than my music and my films. And I mentioned my accolades and my because I utilize my platform as I should utilize it because God blessed me. He blessed me once I left them streets. When I was in them streets doing the devil's work, being conflicted, serving two masters, I had to make a decision. I had to make a choice. Do I want to serve two masters or do I want to love my father above and serve him the best way I can? I won't be perfect. I'll be a work in progress. So what I did is I left the streets. I left all the foolery and the nonsense behind. And I went 110% full-fledged into the music industry. And as a mainstream artist, I got to thank God for my blessings. So now what I do is I just pass my blessings on. I utilize my blessings as a platform to uplift and better empower and strengthen spiritually and emotionally my people, which is the indigenous people of this country and my Black American family and my West Indian family in the West Indies. It is very important that other celebrities stop tweeting, stop posting posts, and get up and get out there. Get on the front lines. Get up and get out there. When I spoke to Omega Linton today, I was on my way to the city to go protest. But then we saw the things with the highways being blocked off and stuff. So I turned back around, you know? And all I want my people to do is do better so you can be better and become better so you can produce better. And once you're able to get it together, then your emotional and mental state and spirituality will follow suit, and you will feel so much better about yourself and life. Because at the end of the day, once you feel good about yourself, it's easy to feel good and love other people. Be your brother's keeper, genuinely. Don't be your brother's keeper just to gain brownie points from God, because God is sucker free and he can spot a sucker from a minute away. So whatever you do it because you are assigned to do it. That's your assignment. And I guarantee you, once you start unifying our communities, you will see a bigger difference, and we will not need to call upon white Americans for their help as if we're calling out to the slave master when the slave master is actually sending out the Sambo. And everybody know who the Sambos are. You ever seen that movie Django? Samuel Jackson was a Sambo. So when the slave master is calling upon the Sambo to keep the slaves programmed to his programming, that's when we revolt. That's when we revolt. That's when we need to revolt. So let's do what we got to do. Let's do what we got to do.
Thank you, Mikey J, and I really appreciate you coming in. For those in New York that's not aware of me, I'm Spicy Gray. I am the president, LLC, and owner of the Unspoken Heart Discussion Hour. I'm also a published author of the four-time award book, The Unspoken Heart, as you see in the background. Also, I am a domestic violence activist, a motivational speaker, and a meditational coach. And I truly thank y'all for watching in. I'm gonna read this post before we go out. My last rites. Revolving towards sweet, loving mother, assurance of return while looking into her tender eyes. Slowly stepping over threshold as my vision to stars peered like footprints across the skies. I place hooded coverage over one's head while taking journey in direction of neighborhood store. The only intention possessed from mine was documented purchase on receipt, nothing more. All past indicative is of to reach the only safe haze place in merest moments predicted time. Devil's advocate mapped me, appointed target as he attacked me like fingers flipping priceless dime. Is it a crime for me to be walking hooded, coverage with unconcealed skittles and Arizona tea, while wanting to be in my mother's arms as recorded screams validated my heartfelt plea? Lowering eyes, lowering shades of my sleep, faded into forming your love towards shedding painful tear. Trust when I say he isn't free from justice for all. It's God's judgment he needs to fear. Silencing my ground, merely stating my past, is merely just that. We all make a forgivable mistake. Being human teenager, like any other, pray over us. For my life, he had no right to maliciously take. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Unspoken Heart Discussion Hours. Please tune in Thursday at 5 p.m. for the discussion hour from Miss Petit that's filing for USA. She's Converse right now. So we will see you on Thursday. Thank you, Michael J. And hope
Hey,
to see you again. Yes, sir.
I love that. I need to talk to you about that piece. Maybe
Okay.
turn that piece into a screenplay.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. It's going to be
And
in the
to
Unspoken Heart 2 book.
and to all your listeners, thank you. Just thank you for tuning in. To all of my listeners, I mean my followers and supporters. I can't see y'all from this end, but to those that did tune in, thank you very much. Many blessings. I appreciate y'all. Y'all can follow me at my Mikey J's IG on Instagram. MikeyJaysIG.
If they want to contact you any other way or follow you on any other site, could you give them the information, please?
Yes. If you want to see any of my movie trailers, just go to Mikey J TV. If you're interested in being part of a film, submitting music for a film, please email AIGNEFILM group@gmail.com. That's Anye Film Group@gmail.com.
Thank you so much, Mikey J.
You're
And
welcome, Queen.
tuning in, everyone. Don't be a stranger. Hope to have you on here. Everybody keep every state in prayer. We are all lit right now. It's not getting any better. So tune in. We much love. Y'all have a good night. Bye bye.